Hello and welcome, or welcome back to the Sales Enablement Festival. I hope you're enjoying the event so far because we've got even more great content heading your way. Remember to have your questions at the ready and get the tailored answers you need from the experts themselves. Thank you again to our sponsors and partners for helping us bring this event to life. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the content from the festival, be sure to check out the SEC membership plans. You can find more information about this over on the Sales Enablement Collective website. Sit back and enjoy the next talk.
Hi, this is Beth Schumann. I am a Vice President of Sales Enablement. I am presenting today for the Sales Enablement Festival. My topic is how to gain better alignment for your Sales Enablement program. To give you a little bit of background that might help give you a reference point for where some of this material might be coming from today, I have held many positions as a Sales Enablement leader, both in the public and the private space. Prior to that, I held many sales quota-bearing roles, as well as director and vice president of sales roles, as well as revenue and sales operation director roles. So that should give you a little bit of a background. Most of my positions have been in the technology space, cloud, and SaaS. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk a little bit about who this session is for. It's really those that are seeking better alignment with the sales enablement function across all of the teams in an organization, which would be the list below, which would include but not be limited to. I would say that some executives would gain something from this session, as well as those of us in sales enablement, sales leaders, sales operations, revenue operations, marketing, product management, and HR. It's a short session. It's not exhaustive. It's not a complete list of all of the challenges and best ways to solve each of those. It is my personal experience running sales enablement at multiple companies and talking about 3 examples of how to work better across teams. There are more teams than what I've listed here, but sales enablement needs to align with and make sure that we are working collaboratively across the entire organization. Some of the teams that I may not have listed here, you can still use this material for with some modifications. I hope that you will see some issues that you are running into covered that currently are challenges that you are facing and wanting to address right now. And I hope that you will be able to put some of this experience and some of these best practices to work for them. When I talk about the agenda, there's 3 short items. We have time to cover really the alignment challenges, some of the best practices to pull your stakeholders into alignment, and then we're going to be jumping into Q&A, at which I hope that we get also input and comments from others of you that have experience in this area, of which I'm sure there are many. When you look at the enablement challenges that I'm going to cover, I'm covering 3. We need a much needed alignment in these 3 areas. They are not exhaustive. There are many other areas in which sales enablement needs to align with across the organization, but if you nail these or make good strides in these 3 areas, you'll be well on your way to a successful program. Executives obviously have a budget that is constrained, and there is more people coming at them than there are dollars to provide for very good initiatives that have come their way. So for sales productivity tools, if you really just can't seem to get approval for them from the executives and the money or the budget is going somewhere else, we'll be talking about that today. The second area we're going to be talking about is marketing and making sure that we help them understand that customer content is not the same as training. Now, I'm not talking about all marketing groups. Certainly many of them do understand the differences here, but if this is a situation at the particular company you're at now, I have some suggestions for you in this area. And then the final 3rd topic that we'll have time to cover is your product team. And if they are too technical and you need to get them to stop focusing on technical features and functions when you do have them presenting for you at sales training, and get them to start covering customer pains, challenges, and value, we'll be covering this topic and what are some suggestions to help you in this area. The first challenge is the executive teams and getting support and alignment and budget for your sales productivity tools. Now, many of you may be using a non-official learning management system or not have a platform at all. You may be cobbling together where you store information. You recognize that it is really hard to scale. It is really hard to see who's taking what training, and it is really hard to tie back your sales training initiatives to changes and outcomes in the field. This talk is my experience. We all have a lot of problems that we need to solve, and in the executive suite, if we can align and help with them in solving their top problems, we probably have a much better chance of being able to implement a sales enablement platform. And what we're trying to do here is really pinpoint top priorities within the organization, whether it be from the CFO, your Chief Revenue Officer, your Chief Sales Officer, your Chief Operations Officer, wherever you're reporting into, could even be your VP of Sales. If you really can understand the primary areas where they're struggling, where they're wanting to put their energy and their resources, and if you can share with them how the sales enablement platform can assist them in solving or making some strides or some gains in these areas, then you have a good chance of getting some budget, or at least a small budget aligned to build from. Now, I have listed 4 areas that these C-suite individuals usually are focusing on, where they are top priorities. They are the consistent revenue growth quarter over quarter. They are predictable growth, profitable growth, and capturing market share. And underneath each of these, I've listed 2 or 3 areas where sales enablement knows they can help. And if you can tie your program to attacking and supporting and gaining some ground for your C-suite here, I think you will be well on your way to getting some of the funds that you need to help scale your enablement program. We know in the way of consistent quarter over quarter growth that revenue generation is very important for your CRO. If we can help in the area of demand generation and show where a platform really can help your frontline sellers grow the beginning of your funnel, or the top of the funnel as some call it, that's very helpful. For those of you supporting the customer success or customer service team or your renewal or retention team, if you can talk about where an enablement platform can help with revenue retention, and cash flow, then you have a good area of getting some support. Some other areas that we know we help with, which are helping sales identify what is a healthy or an unhealthy pipeline and where should they focus their time on their pipeline growth. Accurate forecasting is another area that your executives struggle with. The sales team often struggles with making sure that they are putting forth an accurate forecast, and also helping in the areas of reducing sales cycle length. In the area of profitable growth, we really want to show where the enablement platform can help with reducing discounting, showing more value. It's almost 2 things of the opposite coin. They're saying the same thing, and helping show where we can help target high value customers. In the area of capturing market share, we really want to talk about competitive wins. How can what we're building help with our reps being more able to and more confidently go after certain competitors, especially if they've just leapfrogged us in the field? How can we help sales sell a platform so that we are competing from strength and we are putting the entire company's platform and vision forward? And if we can get a customer to engage on more than one product, we know that we have a much stickier customer who is likely to stay with us, that can help affect the priority number 1, which is also the consistent quarter over quarter revenue growth or revenue retention. And then, of course, cross-selling is another one, especially if part of the business acquisition model comes through acquisitions, and that is a growth strategy. If we can show where we can help more sellers become more proficient with more products or solutions that you sell and can successfully do cross-selling, then you may have a chance at getting enablement, a sales enablement tool or a platform. Now, what we need to do once we identify what these key areas are, and of course we're going to ask those that we work for, we're going to ask those in adjacent departments Then we're going to do our research once we know what's most important to our Chief Revenue Officer or our Chief Operating Officer. Again, it could be the VP of Sales as well. We're going to do some research. We're going to look at the data because we want to put forth a strategy and a proposal that is based on facts. We want to do a qualitative look at what we can learn from revenue reports, from bookings, from Salesforce or your CRM data. And then we also want to overlay that with some qualitative information, with interviews of the sales teams, your top sellers, your not top sellers, surveys, observation if possible, and talk to those both within sales and outside of sales to get a complete picture. Once you've done this, it's really important that you develop a hypothesis. What is the data telling you and what story can you put forth? You really need to have about an 80% presentation ready at this point, not a fully baked and final, because what you want to do now is you want to get support and go share this presentation with others. You want to talk to marketing, you want to talk to product, you want to talk to some of those in other areas of the organization, perhaps sales or revenue operations, and quite possibly you might do at a one-on-one meeting with those that you report up to that do own the budget, what this presentation might look like, what your hypothesis is looking like, and getting some buy-in and getting people to weigh in and tell you what they think and where they feel like you are on the mark and where maybe you have some more work or some more research or some adjustments to do. So once you've pinpointed the primary concerns for those that own the budget and you have done your work to show and tie a story together with the data of where the sales enablement platform can assist them, then it's time to actually present so that you can align and hopefully come out of that meeting with some move forward strategies in the area of getting your enablement tools. What you want to do at this point is have a presentation that's pretty polished. You've already done your 80% proof, you've gotten the input, and now you need one that is locked and loaded. It is really tight. It is very able to tell a story at a high level, having taken all that information in and rolled it up. And the story needs to tell both how you solve the problem and the data that you found that supports solving the problem for those that have the budget that can get the sales enablement tool. And what you're going to do is ask for more than one option, and you're also going to ask for input very often along the way. You're going to ask for their input, their buy-in, their adjustments, what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with. Be very nimble, be willing to throw things out or be willing to put things in. And quite possibly you might be trying to sell for an evaluation or a pilot or a subset of the sales population. We know those in chief revenue operations positions really do a lot with A/B testing, a lot with demand generation. So a subset or an A/B test with a sales population that is using a platform or is not, and measuring outcomes and performance could be one way to approach it, or have more than one pricing plan. Certainly go after what you think is the right plan, maybe the Cadillac program if that's what you need, but also be willing to have a backup plan for the standard platform or a smaller version of the platform. And keep the door open. If you don't get the approval the first time, all is not lost. Keep the door open, take their input, get buy-in that you can come back after doing more research and coming in with maybe a proposal that makes more sense. I can tell you with sales methodology that I implemented at one of the companies I worked for, it actually took 3 annual attempts, 3 years to get a $250,000 budget approved. So sometimes being tenacious, being flexible, not taking no for an answer, and continuing to go back until you're successful is what you need to do. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about some of the marketing teams and some of our challenges that I know I have faced in some of the companies that I've worked for, where marketing teams have been small, like enablement teams, and they really did feel that sales enablement was part of their job, and they would create create collateral and think that that was actually sales training materials. So let's talk a little bit about this for a minute. Now, nothing I'm saying is going to surprise you. I'm sure you have ran into this before. Some of you are currently experiencing some similar challenges. And what I would say again is we're all on the same team. And again, it's executive direction and alignment from the start if we can get it. And I mean at this time from the CMO with those that you report up through on how the two teams are going to work together. The more you can get this alignment and this agreement up front, the easier things will go for the two teams. You're both super busy, and we need to know who's taking point on what. There's more than enough work to go around. That is clear. Both teams have a long list of things that you will never actually complete. So trying to avoid contention, duplication of effort, any confusion between the two teams or between sales, any hard feelings. We want to make sure we know what our role is in the area of sales kickoff. We want to make sure we know what their area is in the way of codifying what successful sellers are doing and what the playbooks look like. And a job description wherever possible. The more you can get the CMO or whoever the marketing team is reporting up through to include some collaboration and support of the sales enablement function in their job descriptions, the better things will go, because then marketing will have some time actually to dedicate to what you need them to work on with you collaboratively, because sales enablement is taking the marketing collateral and turning it into sales enablement and repurposing it. So the more work we can get up front from the executive direction, the better. Next is an understanding. If they don't understand what you're talking about, we need to give them some examples when we say that marketing collateral is not sales enablement tools. And the way we do that is to help them understand that we want sales to practice. Perfect practice makes perfect play. They need to practice what they're going to be doing in front of customers. And we can't leave it to chance that they'll get all that information out of the brochure. Now, some may do it just fine, but many others need you to close the gap across the chasm for them. And you should ask your marketing folks or invite them to attend some of the training that you're doing. They should audit the training so you can see what you're talking about, either live or on demand. Help them to see their material in action, see the content that they recognize being turned into some active practice and not a passive experience like reading the collateral. And help them understand that what we need to do is repetition. We need to have contests, we need to have role plays, simulations of how a rep will actually use this material with a client or a prospect at each step in the sales cycle or the buyer journey. And then from there, things get a lot easier. Now, if we work on the planning and the execution and we do this up front, things will go a lot better for you in your area of content development, delivery, and keeping the material up to date in a timely fashion. You need to participate in each other's planning meetings, or a portion of them, I would say, the annual meetings and the mid-year meetings. Somebody from their team should be coming to yours as well. You should have marketing assign a point person on their team to work with enablement, so we have a go-to person. They know we're coming, they know we might need something, and likewise they may need something from us, so it's a two-way street. We want to agree on which team takes the lead on which content, again, so there's no conflict, there's no duplicated effort, and there is more than enough to go around. So where you have a small sales enablement team, you may need somebody from marketing or product developing some of the content or delivering some of the content. The bigger your team gets, the more your instructional designers or your content people will be working with these subject matter experts and pulling the information in and developing the content within your team and delivering them. You should talk about where the content should be stored up front. Ideally, you're going to get buy-in for having content in its various formats, be it SCORM-based, PDFs, recordings, MPE files, etc. In some cases, white papers or third-party material. If you can get it all in an LMS, you can then put together, obviously, training tracks by role. You can track and assign who has the training, who has completed the training. You can then start to tie measurable outcomes, obviously, to your sales enablement efforts. And if you can get marketing to buy into this and that there is no double posting of material on a secondary site where you can't do the assignment or the tracking or the measuring, all the better. It's a very important point. I'm sure there is somebody during this 3-day event talking much more about that. Schedule regular check-ins, not just the annual meeting, the mid-year check-in, but check in with the VP of Marketing and see how things are going from their perspective with enablement. how sales teams are doing, what are they hearing, what are they hearing from their teams as well. And the more you can give them tools in the area of development, the better things will go. If you do need them to participate and do some development, uh, share with them what your frameworks look like and what content you need, and agree on what an ABC release looks like and what material will be updated for each one. Provide templates, or if you need templates from them because you don't have a content person yet on your team, and what that look and feel needs to be so there won't be any rework. It's really important to have both a framework of what content and what modules you'll have for each of your products and solutions, for your processes and your systems, as well as your sales methodology and the way you handle territories, account planning, etc. And then have somebody from marketing actually review or sign off on the material so that we know that we have buy-in from them. Most of your sales content tools, Adobe, Articulate, many of the others, will have the way for a reviewer to jump in to see a draft module without actually having a license, and they can put their feedback right on the draft. And that is super helpful. And then you know, and you've gone through and you've reviewed all the feedback and made a decision to incorporate or not incorporate it, and then you can publish knowing that you have gotten the information and feedback from those who can help you and that you're aligned. All right, so we are going to now cover the third topic, or the third challenge, which is product teams, and making sure that we are talking less about technical things and more about customer pain and solutions and value that we can offer the customer. So remember, your technical people are technical. That's their expertise. They are not sales enablement experts, and that's why the two of you will work together. Again, the more you can get alignment at the top, the better. The sooner you can do this with the head of product, whether it's called VP of product or something else, on how the two teams are going to operate, and making sure that there's no shadow training happening. You really want their buy-in, that all training needs to come through the enablement team, and at least being asked whether or not we want to participate. That way you won't find somebody in sales or another team has gone to product and asked for a training session at one of their team meetings, and then when you ask the same team to complete the training, they tell you that they've already taken it, which was probably a passive and not an active presentation with role plays, exercises, activities, and some level of certification where required. And then also get the job description to include some level of support and collaboration for sales enablement. Because again, just like your product team is super busy, your marketing and product teams have more than enough to get done and will never get everything done that's asked of them. So if we can include in their job description work and support for sales enablement, then when we come to them, things will go so much more smoothly. And remember to bridge the gap. Again, they're technical folks, and we need to share areas that we need sales to learn. We don't need sales to learn feeds and speeds. We need sales to understand the market, the landscape, how to have the right conversation at the right time with the customer, what are the most likely pains each of the personas are running into, and how does our solution solve the pain, and what are those use cases, and how do we add value. Have your product teams, again, invite them, have them attend or audit some of the training that you're offering, either live or on demand, so that they can see what you're talking about and what you're looking for. And then the last area, again, in all of these have been sort of a three-step model, or 3 steps to how I've approached each of these 3 challenges. That would be communication and support. Schedule regular check-ins with the VP of product or the director. Are they hearing of any challenges where sales is over or underselling the solutions? And if so, we want to talk about those, figure out where it's happening. Is it because there's gaps in the training? Is it because we're not delivering the training in the best manner possible? Is it some other reason, and what do we need to do about it together? Have them share the release calendar with you so you know where the major releases are, where the major changes are, so you're prepared to support those changes and trade out your content, augment your content, train your sellers on additional information, solutions, acquisitions, capabilities that we now have available to us. And make sure that we have a product management person who is the point person who can work with you, but is not your main presenter. Ideally, we want to get our sales trainers able to deliver the content, And the way we do that is by having the product teams watch them in a dry run and offer feedback and validate that they are correctly presenting the material. And alternatively, you can also ask the product team to be available to allow you to come to them after a training session. You've maybe taken a parking list of items that you couldn't answer. You've promised to get back to sales, and now you go to product. Ask for them to give you the information, and you can ask them in multiple different ways until you can extract it in a way that sales can use it and that it's not technical. The third way they can assist you is you may invite them to attend the last 5-10 minutes of a training session so that they can actually answer some of the questions that you took note of that you couldn't answer yourself. Now, for the more technical sessions, you want to make sure that, or some of the more technical sellers, you want to make sure that you do have additional technical training. And one way to do that is to have somebody on the product team develop a more technical module that you can place in your learning management system. If the sellers need more, or if you are doing technical training, you can have the product management team sign off on any of the content that's being delivered for a more technical audience. All right, we have covered 3 of the main challenges that I know I have ran into many times running sales enablement teams. And I want to remind you that these are cross-functional teams and that we are working with folks that are not sales enablement experts. We know what we want, and we know that they are helping us train the sales organization. They are great reference points for us. They are experts in their area of expertise, be it at the executive level or in marketing or product. And it is our role in sales enablement to make sure that we're clear on what we're looking for, that we offer examples, that we provide tools and frameworks and templates, that we're really good communicators, that we have a communication plan, we have regular cadences and check-ins so that marketing knows or product knows when content needs to be updated, or we know when something is coming down the pike that we need to be prepared to update and will need assistance on from them. So be super available, be super flexible, and remember that communication is key. We're all human. We have a ton of stuff we need to get done. Reading body language, asking questions, checking on their level of agreement or alignment or buy-in, and adjust if we're finding some resistance. There is a reason why there is some resistance, and it's our job to make sure that we clear the air and help find that common ground so that we can both move forward. And remember, we all are trying to solve problems for the company, and we are all on the same team, and sometimes we just need to catch our breath and remember that, and if we do, we'll be fine. At this point, I'm going to be stopping the pre-recorded message here and jump into the Q&A in the chat and getting comments and input, and we are hoping that many of you who have solved many of these problems have additional best practices. So not only might there be some questions for those of you that want to talk to me about the ways I've approached these 3 challenges, I am sure our audience has lots of comments and input because they have ran into these same items as well. So with that, we will be stopping this presentation and moving into our live Q&A. Thank you.